It's Dina and Melba Pearson for Legal AF. Be sure to free subscribe as we're doing a bunch of these duets, trying to get a lot of the news that's coming out of the Trump administration out. And the latest has to do with Attorney General Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche announcing that they plan on using the False Claims Act to go after universities yet again, like doubling, tripling down on the assault on universities. And what essentially this is they are saying they are going to be using the Civil Rights Department of the Department of Justice plus the Fraud Department together to go after any false claims. The False Claims Act has been used in the past for like private universities, let's say, with kind of like fraudulently selling a student that they're getting a certain education. They're not getting a certain education. But here they are very clear that they are using it for what they say is anti-Semitism and the use of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. And the problem is that, as we know, Trump put out his executive order saying all universities have to like stop using DEI, right? But it is such a broad term. I mean, it's written to be broad. And so now these universities who have applied for all these grants, have received all these grants, which is federal money, are combing through their grants to see if any of their language trips up this basically announcement against DEI, because if so, then they could be in violation of this False Claims Act. I mean, that is what Trump is saying. They are going to be using this against him, and not even just civilly. They are saying they even plan on possibly using criminal prosecutions to go after these universities. And they said they will even enlist law enforcement in order to enforce policies. I mean, let's just take a moment. This is where we are at, literally using the power of government against people who seems to be the only thing that is bad is wanting to have our universities reflect the society in which we live. Melba, dying to hear what you have to say.
I mean, this is one of those things that all of it pisses me off, to be clear. But when you see the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division, whose mandate was to address systemic racism in this country, to address police brutality, to address righting past wrongs. Their mandate has been completely corrupted, co-opted, and changed to be a part of this culture war, to be like white is right type of mentality, which white and male, let's be clear, and heterosexual, is the right way to go. And the thought that you're going to start snatching up university presidents, arresting university presidents for what? For what? Now, let's be clear. Anti-Semitism is horrendous, but I'm waiting to hear from the Anti-Defamation League for them to be like, oh yeah, these universities have been consistently violating the rights of Jewish students or something along those lines. They're not saying that. They're saying the exact opposite, that students are starting to feel more safe, that these universities, in response to concerns and outcry, have changed their policies. They've also faced backlash as a result of that, separate discussion, but at least they feel more comfortable that students are protected and can be able to worship and observe their faith and share their viewpoints in a safe manner. And so basically it's a false premise. There's the false claim right there. The false claim is that this is about anti-Semitism. It's not. It's not about protecting Jewish students. It's about just basically trying to dismantle any platform that could give equality. It seems that because the president has always been like railing against, oh my God, these universities are so woke and this and that. And, these are elite, out of touch people, et cetera, et cetera. But meanwhile, people going to university is like, education is the way out of poverty. Education is a way to make sure that you can get into the middle class or go from middle class to, maybe upper class, whatever the case may be. But you want to be able to provide for your family. And that's not to say blue collar work can't do that. But if you want to pursue a higher education, become an attorney, become a professor, become a doctor, You gotta go to university. There's no other way around it. So to strip these universities and to simultaneously be attacking the ways that people can even get student loans so that they can go to university is clearly a multifaceted attack to make sure that only certain people who have a ton of personal wealth can go to university and everybody else is going to have to work in the coal mine. Again, no shade if you work in the coal mine, but if that's something that you choose to do, or because it's, hey, I live in West Virginia, it makes sense, fine. But don't force people to have to do that because they have no other options. Whew, I'll get off my soapbox for 30 seconds. I'm hella mad about this. This makes me so upset.
Well, and this is a very clear Project 2025 goal. They have this in their book. This is about having a white Christian male nationalist dominated society. And all of their little excuses around it is, just look at their book, look at the Project 2025 book. But in the memo, Tom Blanche's memo, this is just, could you imagine you're a university and you're getting this kind of language because it's so, as a lawyer, you're like, this is too vague and too broad, which is the worst of the worst, even if they wanted to comply with it. But most of them don't because it goes against their values. Okay, so they said that the Federal False Claims Act is going to be implicated when anybody knowingly engages in racist preferences, mandates, policies, programs, and activities, including through diversity, equity, and inclusion programs that assign benefits or burdens on race, ethnicity, or national origin. Says, while racial discrimination has also been illegal, the prohibition on some policies became clear after the Supreme Court with affirmative action. Let's make it clear that a Supreme Court did not say diversity, equity, inclusion was unconstitutional. Let's be clear about that. The other thing, too, is that case in front of the Supreme Court where Asian Americans said that they were not being admitted into Harvard as they should have been. Project 2025, I'm telling you, if with affirmative action, it's not more white people getting into Harvard. Okay. It is the Asian Americans that were saying that they weren't able to get into Harvard. So like this isn't even about, that, right? This is about the pretext is off with this administration. They're bringing in white Afrikaners as asylum while they kick out other people. So this is, so they are planning on scaring universities. And right now we know universities are the bedrock of our science foundation. The Harvard came out and talked about the breast cancer research being frozen right now because of the cuts that Trump has made. We know, University of Michigan, for 15 years, developed an ultrasound that basically, in a non-invasive way, targets lesions that have gone onto the liver for people who have stage 4 cancer. That was a university that developed it. Our universities cooperate with our government, and this is where science research is. We do not have government labs in DC developing science. It is our universities. We have always partnered with them in a way that's perhaps unique here in this country. So just for all those even Republican friends you may have, when Trump says he's going after woke universities, he's going after the cure for your family member.
Mm-hmm. That part. And for me, just the hypocrisy of it, because again, you're saying this is about protecting Jewish students. It's about, because it's always anti-Semitism. Meanwhile, one of the Afrikaans that you gave, refuge to because they were so persecuted as white people in South Africa, even though white people in South Africa are only 7% of the population, but own pretty much everything. Yeah. One of those dear gentlemen that you decided to give refuge to came out right away and started making anti-Semitic statements. Talking about how people of the Jewish faith are not to be trusted and they're evil and this and that. So where's your anti-Semitism views now? You're going after universities saying that they're discriminating, but you're literally giving cover and shelter and refuge to someone who is espousing anti-Semitic views because your buddy Apartheid Ken told you to do it.
And he's had dinner and associations with so many really radical Nazi, types and anti-Semitic. So yeah, I mean, the thing is, coming out of Trump, coming out of Stephen Miller, coming out of MAGA, they're going to say one thing and mean another. And certainly, that's a sad fact, because anti-Semitism is a real thing, and people much more experienced about this can speak about it better than me. But when you co-opt something and you use it to target people of color and universities by saying you don't belong here, that's essentially what he is saying. The really disgusting thing is what he's saying is that women, people of color, do not belong here. And we want to make you so afraid of acknowledging them in your studies and in your admission and in your hiring and in your research and in your grants, that you will be so afraid to do that, because we're going to criminally prosecute you. And that is how you silence and you make groups of people invisible, because you scare everyone else into it. And that is what he is doing. And we have to really focus on that and not get sidelined about any other, excuse he tries to give.
Amen to that.
Amen to that. Okay. We are going to have fun, even if we're talking about awful things, Melba. I believe
we have to. That's the only way we can get through this.
If we're going to laugh, we're going to cry. So anyway, so great to talk with you again. We're going to keep at it. There's so many. Be sure to free subscribe here to the Legal AF channel. So grateful Popak started this and we get to be a part of it, where that we will always break down the legal issues here that are coming out of the Trump administration. And there are a lot, and he is doing a lot to distract us, but we will not be distracted. We hope you join us in this fight to keep the lights, keep the attention on where it should be.
Because democracy dies in darkness.
Yes.
I'm Michael Popak, and I got some big news for our audience. Most of you know me as the co-founder of Midas Touch's Legal AF and the Legal AF YouTube channel, or as a 35-year national trial lawyer. Now, building on what we started together on Legal AF, I've launched a new law firm, the Popak Firm, dedicated to obtaining justice through compassionate and zealous legal representation. At the Popak Firm, we are focused on obtaining justice for those who have been injured or damaged by a life-altering event, by securing the highest dollar recoveries. I've been tirelessly fighting for justice for the last 35 years, so my own law firm organically building on my Legal AF work just feels right. And I've handpicked a team of top-tier trial fighters and settlement experts throughout all 50 states known as big auto injury attorneys who have the know-how to beat heartless insurance companies, corporations, government entities, and their attorneys. Big Auto's attorneys working with my firm are rock stars in their respective states and collectively responsible for billions of dollars in recoveries. So if you or a loved one have been on the wrong side of a catastrophic auto, motor vehicle, rideshare, or truck accident, suffered a personal injury, or been the victim of medical malpractice, employment harassment or discrimination, or suffered a violation of your civil and constitutional rights, then contact the Popak Firm today at 1-877-POPAK-AF or by visiting my website at www.thepopakfirm.com and fill out a free case evaluation form. And if we determine that you have a case and you sign with us, we don't get paid unless you do. The Popak Firm, fighting for your justice every step of the way.